Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Alright, hello everyone. I'm driving and I got a bit of a drive, 30 minutes. I thought I'd record something. Recently, I've had a big life change. And a lot of you are like, okay, what does that have to do with me? Alright, let me go on a slower lane, hold on. Alright, so I wanted to just pretty much speak about something new that's happened. I finally found the idea behind this episode was for me to tell the viewers that honestly I've had a big life change in these past 2 days, and I've gone to war with myself, and I want to explain that idea. You see, when we start out, the focus is through our first. What do I say? Jesus. You know, guys, this can't technically. I can't turn this into an episode. But I'll just keep it as an update, maybe. I've been struggling with, let's say, cigarette addiction. I had gotten up to 100 kilograms. I was eating sugar. I was drinking a cappuccino every day. Pretty much, I had subscribed to the culture that I hadn't second guessed. And pretty much I was thinking, you know, and all these factors, they lead to hormonal imbalance, okay? Even other things. And when I realized that a person in this modern time could be, for example, going through, let's say, they're stressed, depressed, or something's happening, and they think that it's only a psychological resolution. I got to change my attitude, or I should stop thinking like this, or something like that, where the motivational industry kind of tells the people, change your mindset. I mean, of course, like, our mindset's changing all the time, really. But the thing that, after struggling with these things, like I've smoked for I think more than 10 years, okay? The way I managed to cut everything and also maintain, in a sense that I know I won't go back to them, I want to explain that to you. But in order for me to explain that to you, I got to explain to you my perspective, and my perspective is uncommon. At least, yeah, it's uncommon. So, first let me explain this. So, you're listening to a Muslim sci-fi writer. As a Muslim, the algorithm that is presented, the approach to reality that is presented, finds itself very parallel to the secular modern idea. This is the way I'm telling viewers, to the concept of a system administrator. Okay? What do I mean by this? Guys, this might be a boring episode. I mean, if this is boring you, feel free to fly somewhere else. I mean, honestly. But I'm just sharing with you something that worked for me, and I'm trying to paint the context for you. So I see this reality pretty much that there is an uncaused system administrator. There's moderators, there's members. Reality is divided between an original position and a simulated position. Now, to some degree, we are simulated in the sense that we're temporary physical beings, and how we wake up and we simulate personality. Okay, sorry guys, back to it. Phone call in the middle. So I'm trying to first paint the context of how I look at life, and I'm saying that from a secular perspective, it's equivalent to an uncaused system administrator creating a simulation where there are moderators that have authority in the simulation, and there are members in the simulation being tested. And in some sense, that if we were under as human beings, if we were under the impression that after a very long time, which evolutionarily doesn't make sense from one angle, why billions, super long time of unconscious evolution, not having a conscious identity to think if it has pain and pleasure, right? And then suddenly the strategy of evolution was to become conscious, okay? Whether it was from the human being seeing its shadow, whether it was the human being, I don't know, noticing something. I've explained it better in other talks. But I'm saying pretty much there's one perspective that it's a bunch of evolutionary organisms on a rock in the middle of nowhere, and they're storytelling everything to themselves because the acknowledgement that it is actually unknown is too bizarre. Okay? Or the other view is that you're not actually in an empty room in the middle of nowhere painting your own picture, but you're actually inside a divine surveillance state. And a simpler example would be, for example, a natural surveillance state. A natural surveillance state would be equivalent to, for example, a person a person walking and then seeing birds, seeing squirrels, just in regards to the eye contact, okay, of organisms. And also the individual being in the ecosystem and the ecosystem being aware of that. Right. Now, that's an elemental surveillance state. Let's say in the future we have a technological surveillance state. Right. Now, when I say divine surveillance state, this has to do with a view on reality that the way out of the world, how do I say it? Think of it this way. This is the best metaphor I can come up with. A non-fiction author writes a fiction novel on paper. In that novel, there is a fictional character. And this fictional character is under the impression, the way the novelist has written the novel, is that the fictional character thinks it is the administrator of itself. It thinks that in some sense, they figured it out. They know everything, right? But on a deeper level, it's fiction trying to realizing it does not have access to the non-fiction. What that character in that novel can do, in that fiction novel, is to realize that it is powerless. Okay? In the novel, it has power. The power that's written for it. The story. Like this character's gonna go talk to that character, then something's gonna happen, this character's gonna become a villain, that one's gonna become a superhero, you know, something, whatever, right? But I'm saying, imagine you wrote, as a non-fiction author, you wrote a fiction novel, and the character in the novel noticed your handwriting and realized not only is everything in the novel that it's in, even itself in the novel is simulated, but in some sense, the opportunity of the simulated beings is to get to see the handwriting of the original power, right? So this changed my framework from being a person who's like, yo man, I'm gonna go explore the world, explore myself, and become some next level person and do great things. That was the attitude, right? But when I came to look at it, first of all, the world is edgeless. It's too big. We can't index it to come up with an accuracy, and it's also changing, right? And when it comes to knowing yourself, usually what happens in the... I used to speak a lot about yoga and Buddhism and the New Age. Pretty much what happens is you're nullifying yourself to feel like you're everything, and then you make everything equal to nothing because your awareness isn't formed, and then you confuse the created position with the creator position by thinking everything is God, which is not. I think that the way my mentality is, this is my conviction, and you can go see what sort of journey what sort of mountain I climbed, you know, you can go see the lectures I gave, right? But I'm telling you, after all this giant research project, okay, it's more like, no, it's not you do whatever you want, it's that there's a specific way, perhaps out of this simulated zone, all right? So this is the context I was working with, okay? Now, I took it to metaphysics quickly, but going back to what I was saying at the beginning. Okay, let me just follow this up a bit more. So I'm telling you that instead of me thinking, again, I'm in a rock in the middle of, empty rock in the middle of nowhere, and we're all storytelling to ourselves, okay? To me, it's as if it's a video game, okay? And it's a performance review, okay? To see if the simulated can remember the original and be original, which was the first sin in the Garden of Eden. When Adam and Eve listened to the serpent, they were no longer original. But if they wanted to be original, they had to listen to the authority, to God, for example, right? So my perspective changed. It even went from beyond the language. The language that points to truth, and it became a reality where I'm like, okay, there's a system administrator.
In 300 meters, at the end of the road, onto Route 73.
All right.
Now, turn left.
At least the viewers know what I'm going to do next. Anyways, where I'm going with this is to tell you that from a free-for-all situation where a person could start from scratch, it shifted into, no, I did not create this world. I did not create this reality. In every area of life, we can see the theme of system administration. You being a system administrator of what you own, right? You know, or you working for a company that has a system administration. In all areas of life, we have this, but when it has come to the whole world in thinking there's a system admin and there's mods and members, like this idea has been blowing people's minds. No way. You know, I'm going to go to work and my boss is going to tell me what to do, but I'm not going to consider this world as a sort of having a structure of authority. Okay? Anyways, so my mind went from all of this to be like, okay, if there is a living transcendental agency, then it is not enough to just exist on the level, on an objective and subjective level. So the question comes, okay, let's say this is a performance review. What is the test? Okay, and I gave a clue about us trying to be original rather than simulated, because when the serpent told them what to do, that was a simulated action. It wasn't original. Okay? So even the serpent changed shape, simulated itself differently. So where I'm going with this is that test, okay, translated to me, and I heard this sentence where one's soul and ego, nafs in Arabic, can be one's enemy. Do you know? And this was a very heavy idea, where this whole time, from the beginning of my life till now, I've had the impression, yo man, I'm my own best friend, I'm my own ally, there's no way I'm gonna go against myself. And then I realized something very strange. It was a sort of strange internal restoration of my own sort of masculine spirit. But it happened in this way, where I was like, wait a minute. Perhaps this test is a test of self. Okay? And I reached this moment where I was like, wait a minute. I don't fucking love myself. Excuse my language. I don't effing love myself. I'm destroying myself. Do you know? When you get that realization, it's heavy. And you have it in the background of your mind. But unless you choose to see yourself that you could be your own enemy, you could be your own destroyer, right? And you have to go to war with that. Okay, I'm not saying a fragmentation. I'm not saying like a fragmentation of the psyche. Okay? I'm saying I don't know how to say it, but anytime the desire for smoking, for anything, for coffee, for sugar comes, I know I'm being attacked by myself. And I just turn back in my mind, I say, you have no permission. And it leaves. That inner impulse of desire, the moment I say you have no permission, you're not allowed. I say, do you understand? Like vocally. Like I say it internally in my mind, but it's as if it's as if I'm combating all the habits that I unconsciously, subconsciously entered the simulated life, right? And now I feel no. There has to be an original response to this simulated programming I'm in. Okay? And 2 days ago, there was an additional event that happened, which was a sign for me also. I threw it away with anger, as if I am going to war with you. I mean, with myself, right? And going through this, I also had this realization again of that we think, yo man, I gotta go. I mean, it's we kind of have no choice, because human survival is better in groups. We're kind of designed to go into groups. Like I'm probably like an odd human being, being an introvert. If I was alive back then, I might have probably died quickly or something, right? I think I would have found some strategy actually. What I mean by that is imagine caveman times or some shit. But anyways, I quit all those things, and my perspective was that this world is not the final station. This is a transit terminal. It's also video game-like and simulated like a test. The first level of this video game is the body. The level 2 is the mind. Level 3, I say the soul. But level 3 is different. Level 3, you're entering the surveillance state, and it's for those people who have constant, from the beginning of their life till now, noticed the the cyclical simulating nature of how they are being an object and subject. So if you've been on this planet for some time, and you've reached that point where you're noticing objects and subjects, they're kind of looping, that's kind of an awareness like, okay, there's something more than this here. Or if you're someone who you feel you're not living your life, you feel you're in a life that's not yours, you know, I've had that moment sometimes, that feeling that you're in like the wrong life, or you were meant for something else or something like that. So, for me, at least being a Muslim, the only way out of this simulation, okay, is through the will of the system admin. That means it is not just important to acknowledge that there is a system admin, okay, and the system admin is uncaused. So, from this perspective, it's strange. Linguistically, might not make sense to you, but there is a validity there that the uncaused caused causality, which you're unaffected. So I declared war on myself, and it's been 2 days. 2 days I've managed to defend my kingdom. And aside from this, of course, I also recently lost my grandfather, so it pushed me into a depth of considering, okay, what's going to happen after. And I looked into it from an Islamic context, and it's way more complicated than just you're born, you die, right? You know, it's that, if at least from that perspective, from the Islamic perspective, once we die, we access the plane of resurrection. And I don't know, somewhere I heard beings are lingering there for 50,000 years or something like that. I don't know exactly. But the idea is that after this, there's a sort of balancing, what's the term? Handling your affairs, okay? Sorry guys, you're seeing like my cup holder. So, and okay, one more thing to say. This ability to the way I've declared war is not an ego. It's not an egoic way. You see, when you reach level 3, you realize you're not the main point of this life. You're not the main event. But it's very difficult for human beings to see that, because they have to survive and exist here. So their whole life, they're just like thinking about themselves, looking at themselves, right? And we don't even realize, but we as people, it's not like just because you see something, you understand it. You know, the meaning is being simulated internally. So I can look at a painting and I'd be like, what's this piece of shit? You know, somebody could look at that painting and be like, I've never seen something so beautiful. Do you know what I mean? And that meaning is internally being placed. So really what it is it's like this blank objective place, and those beings that live in it are giving it meaning in accordance to how they're living in it. Okay? And so when you're, as a child, you're being raised, you don't realize, because it's the same way you learn the alphabet, the same way you learn to speak, you're also learning the behavior of your environment, which that's what culture is. You know, culture is like cults of behavior based on location. You know, they're group agreements, you know, and dedications, let's say, or habits. Now, I'm trying to tell you this, that it's not like I had this thought, all right, I'm going to quit. I've tried that so many times. Okay, where I'm like, I'm going to quit from tomorrow. So I'm telling you, it wasn't through my ego. It was as if a part of me was like, okay, human being, what is important here? Your body's wasn't being recorded, was this. That the options are not either you worship something or don't worship something, right? And when you look at the word worship, it's where your attention is stationed, or where, like an archer, you've in some sense released the bow towards, right? What target it's in. So I realized, no, it's not the idea of worship. You know, if I had in some sense attention instead of the word worship, it would be as if these are the options. I'm either paying attention to myself, I'm either paying attention to others in this world, I'm either paying attention to the world, or I'm paying attention to a focal point beyond the world. Okay? So now, if you replace the idea of worship, attention with worship, it's as if in Islam there's a huge emphasis on do not go and ask help from the moderators. Okay? Do not go and ask help from members. Even the Prophet in Islam was simple. He could not intercede for people. Do you know? He was just a warner, a clear warner. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So what I'm telling you is the attitude of a Muslim is very similar to the attitude of a secular person if they realize they're inside an existential system as an experiential member, and the members in anything in the simulation is not the point. The members, you're being tested to see if you're getting convinced by this. Okay? So anyways, the option is not, I don't worship anything. The option is, I'm either worshiping myself, I'm either worshiping others, I'm either worshiping the world, the whole thing, okay, or being a nature lover, or I'm worshiping that which is uncaused. The only point, the only thing. When as someone who, I found Islam in a different way. Do you understand? Do you know it? I would say it found me. I felt called. Okay.
Prepare to turn left.
Guys, I think I've been just turning left for hours now. Oh man, all right.
Please turn left in 100 meters onto Route 72. Now
Please
turn
subscribe
left.
to the channel. All right. Let me get serious here. What I'm saying is that I was stuck in a process of self-worship, okay? And I was destroying myself. And what I realized is that if I am not just an object and not just a subject, the assessment of my activity in this world could be wrong. If there are there's greater dimensions to this, there's a depth to this. Okay?
Prepare to turn left Turn left in 100 meters at the end of the road onto Highway 7 East.
All right. So, let's say the title of this episode is I quit my addictions by declaring war on myself. All right. Like, that's the idea. It's become a lecture. It's been 11 minutes in. 11 minutes. Oh my God. Maybe this was disconnected in the middle. What? Alright, anyways. I don't have the world. If there was two crossroads where they're like, all right, go the path of your lower self, which is worldly desire, and go the path of the higher self, which is trying to access or remember or return to the original world or original power. I've taken the latter more seriously. Because even if desires get filled, they finish. It's like food. You eat it and it finishes. Right? So, for me, my spirituality is no longer, yo man, I'm one with nature, yo man, I'm talking to beings, yo. Not like that. It's, or I'm talking to aliens, or I'm channeling aliens, or I'm, talking to angels, or, or my future selves are like my spirit guides or something. I had that view for some time. Now for me, it has become fascinating, like a character in a fiction novel, right? To in some sense establish a connection or link with this novel, with the author, with the non-fiction. The non-fiction has become way more fascinating, but the non-fiction isn't worldly. So right now, I'm on the path of, in some sense, seeing what happens when the lower self is not victorious. The higher self is. I'm a human being. I'm a man. I have desires, temptations, and all of this. The only thing that's changed in these 2 days has been where I've managed to stop everything. Okay, stop all the self-destroying I was doing. Has simply been this, that I am way more fascinated by the system administrator and the divine surveillance state. The fact that there is an option of noticing a transcendental agency that is emanating from an original power, that is the original power. It's like if you know what it is, the metaphysics of the time is taking us to a point where it's not corporate America anymore. It's like a corporate world. Now let me explain. In the sense that there's the employee, there's like managers, and then there's like the owner. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, a person, let's say, is being managed, different things. For example, in Christianity, Christ is the moderator, that you go towards the original. Christ is the original, but in human form, in Christianity, right? But in Islam, nothing in the worldly in the world of, how do I say it? It's pretty much like pointing that this is not the finale. And if that was the case, and if this whole time there's a divine surveillance state, that means, you know what that means? The world having a system admin means means that one, hard work, being lucky, do you know, karma, all out the door. There's a system admin. It's being, in some sense, decreed. It's I mean, from an Islamic perspective, it's pre-written, but it's being decreed. And you know, yeah, I don't know what else to say. But it's like I want to see who I would have been, if who I can be, if the world doesn't define me first. God is the original. Forget the archetypes or anything. It's the whole world is between the original and the simulated. We are in the simulated testing zone. The test is for human beings. This is my conclusion. This is what makes sense to me. That we are here to notice that power, that higher power, not just infinitely loop as a lower power. The way I accessed level 3 was that I had such intense and extreme expectations on self, others, and world, on everything, on who I had to be, what I had to do, what I had to go all out in. And when I realized there is this higher power, and I was destroying myself when I worship myself, when I think I'm the most important, or I have to do everything. You don't know how difficult it is for someone who's a visual thinker to give it up, to give up the complexity of images and expectations polished for a decade. But now spirituality is no longer about me. It's not about me feeling something, me feeling more powerful, me becoming enlightened. It's about, all right, I'm a member in this system. There's a system admin. Believe it or not, I worked with the moderators as well, but the original power is the only key out of this simulated door of this world. So what I'm leaving you with is that by going to war with myself, I have found myself simplifying, and in simplifying, closer to how do I say it? My own desires aren't my leader. They're not important. My gratifications are not that important. There's something bigger going on here. Now, of course, I still live as a human being, but I'm saying the complexity of living it in an let's say a religious boundary, more and more I'm understanding that it's the service. how do I say it? Think of it this way. Think of it, there's like graduations or level ups. You are serving yourself. Then you level up. Then you start serving others. The kid is like, give me food, give me water, or milk or something. The kid's crying. Okay? But then the kid's like, okay, let me go play with other kids. Let me go help my dad, help my mom or something. So service from self only came to service to others. Then imagine now this kid has become a family man, wife and kids. Like the service to others, service to self. But now there's something more. You've completed serving yourself and serving others. Now what's left? The next thing is your world. Now I bypassed this because I think a part of me felt others did not acknowledge me because I didn't express myself. And also, I didn't like myself because of I didn't like myself because I think a part of me was embarrassed to be myself. And it was easier to speak the language everybody else is speaking, to draw everything else everybody's drawing. Life is so incredible. A person doesn't know how strong or weak they were, I think, till the last breath. Anyways, something in life, I don't know why, in 2014 where the idea of the talks came, and just this, it was like a legit everything, it was as if like it was there. The sentence, 10,000 talks for the betterment of mankind, and the name, Mr.Within's gift. It wasn't called originally Project Mr.Within's gift. I added that later. I went to the point of serving the world. That felt like the next game. I'm like, yo, man, all right, all these people, taking care of themselves, others. The next thing's the world, obviously, right? But that's where I think we lack vision or the cultural design of it. Maybe these talks of mine can help, but I don't know. Of course, God knows best. The system admin. Oh my God. Okay. So, even I realized, talking so much about advanced civilizations and advanced communicators and the pilots of consciousness, and now 3,600 years from now we're gonna pass the language threshold, and 600 years from now sky cities will come, all of this. I can't tell you, but I've seen these in my inner realms, but me getting close, it's as if that is still a worldly desire, to want to serve the world. It's more I have the attitude more that, all right, I need to understand the system admin. I need to understand the original power. I need to understand, what is this test? Why is there 8 billion human beings? Mouths, ears, bodies to engage with the world, yet not all engagements are valid. But you gotta also know, I am a praying man. I pray. And when I pray, it's as if I go and stand on the prayer mat. And I don't know how to tell you, I feel a might. It's not even like a, logical thing. It's just like a presence, the might of a presence. And I break down when I feel that, right? Because when you look at the human being, based on what? Like the brain, like it's not the most for an organic life organism, it is a complex technology, but it's not that advanced of an information processor. Do you know? In the future they may connect it to like technology and stuff like that, but I think we're not designed for that. Anyways, I mean, there is an electromagnetic field of the body, but in regards to connecting something to your brain, it's like what? We're gonna have to pay membership fees so that our limbs work, so that our senses work. Like it's unnecessary to go there. So to me, there is a system admin. We are temporarily here. We didn't create the world. We can't see the edge of the world. In Islam, it says the soul is the secret of God. You can't know yourself, so you reach nullification before. Okay? So, I have decided to simplify my life. To not... It's legit. Imagine like there was an original being, and imagine there was a simulated speaker and there was an original speaker. Or imagine you had the option to choose between original power or simulated power. Which one would you choose? You would choose original power. Yet we are designed to go towards the simulated. Culture's designed for us. Culture is simulated. Everything, the stories we're putting here is simulated. But our relationship with the forces, living real forces of our world, and to realize that there is a chain of command. There's a chain of command here. It's, of course, 4.5 billion years. What? There's nothing here? Anyways, go to war with yourself if you're destroying yourself. Declare it with intensity, as if you have been betrayed this whole time by that version of you that was okay destroying itself. And of course, like, now that I've, quit, it's not like it's like just 100% smooth sailing. There's moments, where I'm driving, and I'm just intensely holding the steering wheel. It's like as if like the steering wheel owes me money, like that intensely I'm holding. But I'm pretty much telling you guys, I've simplified reality. If you're a young person listening to this, be a minimalist. The cultural programs are not accurate. Even your parents, let's say those before you, many things they had right because the old world had more access to the original reality. But if you were not just an object or the subject that you've been convinced by this whole time, what would be your strategy? What would be your strategy if prior to aliens landing down or super intelligent computers coming about, right? There's an opportunity, like more interesting than in those interactions. Like if somebody came up to me and it's like, yo man, you can talk to like this super intelligent computer that can know things you don't. You can talk to these extraterrestrials from the Andromeda galaxy, which are pretty enlightened and all of this, right? Or you could contact the original power, the author. I'm that human being that has chosen the non-fiction author of the fiction novel we're all in is way more fascinating than just being in the novel. But at the same time, it's not like there's a choice. We've been written as part of this novel, you know? So you still are human, you know? I'm not saying that spiritual, like they make you think spirituality is like, yo man, I'm limited in a human body. Oh my God, I gotta be something else. Spirituality is when you're trying to understand truth through yourself. And it leads to self-worship. It doesn't mean good things doesn't happen. It doesn't mean synchronicities don't happen. It doesn't mean you don't act, like being spiritual gives you access. It's like the antenna heightens. But it doesn't mean necessarily just because you can see more, that's better. Go towards the original power. That's it. It's that easy. It's as easy as acknowledging, all right, everything in life seems to have systems. I'm inside a system. Now, if there was a system admin, right, we should be able to reach out to it. Like I had a Discord server, I was the system admin, okay? I had declared moderators. One of the moderators had gone to one of the members and acted like they were the system admin. And then that member on the Discord server contacted me complaining, right? And then I spoke to the moderator and I fixed, and to the member and fixed it. So I'm telling you, you are in a selection zone of powers to work with. The original power is not worldly. And I find that all prophets were pointing to it. Do you know? Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. And if you are not a religious person, I can understand how this could be frustrating for you, but I tried my best in sharing with you that the same religious algorithm parallels to the same notion of a system admin and moderators and members under review. So, if you notice yourself hurting yourself, declare war on your ego and your soul. Sounds pretty intense, honestly. But in some sense, realize you're not always your best friend. You know? Sometimes it could be subconscious archetypes of other personalities. So this is why it's very important to, on some deep level, conclude for yourself. Okay, others are just others. I'm just the self, right? This is the world. But this is all changing and it's passing by. So in some sense, it's the original. So, anyways, guys, thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, all praise due to the Lord of the worlds. May God forgive mankind, and may we, through our fascination, remember the original power, and through its time decree, bring forth the advanced civilization. What I realized was that I thought just humans are going to build it, but it's so difficult to try to even to create a small group. Maybe for some people it's easy, but you know. so I realized that to build it, I was talking just about the advanced civilization, but you need to contact the original power, that the power source that builds the advanced civilization. In order to be advanced, it cannot be simulated. Anyways, thank you for listening. Good day.